Hi there. I'm here to help you take your voice to the next level, enabling you to be the best speaker you can be. In this presentation, I'm going to give you a few vocal and breath exercises to help you strengthen your sound, making you sound more confident and allowing you to take charge in any room you walk into. Apart from your physical appearance, your voice allows us to make snap judgments about you, whether we think you're confident, shy, strong, stubborn, and any other type of character judgment. Unfortunately, apart from your physical appearance, your voice will tell people what to think about you almost immediately. The way you speak and the way you talk and the way you present can tell people whether or not they should trust you or believe what you say. The more we like what we hear, the more we're willing to come back and listen to you more. We're going to trust what you have to say, and we're going to believe that we should be on board, that you are the expert. It all starts with your breath. Many people don't know that there is a right way and a wrong way to breathe, so I'm going to help you breathe the right way. It all starts with breathing in through your nose. When we breathe, you enable your vocal cords to maintain as much moisture as possible. Do this with me. Take a deep breath through your nose and let it out. And now take one through your mouth. Do you feel how your mouth and your throat feels drier? When we breathe through our nose, we filter some of that air and the harsher air in order to keep moisture in our vocal cords, allowing our voice to sound stronger. Take in enough air to get you to the next punctuation. What I mean by this is when you're giving a speech or answering questions or in an interview setting, imagine that your speech is written down. Visualize where those commas are, periods, question marks, exclamation points even. You only need to take in enough air to get you to the end of that sentence. So you never have to feel like you are sucking in air to get you to the end of your speech. Taking the time to breathe between each punctuation not only allows you to have a stronger sound, but also allows your listener to keep up with you and to register what it is you're saying. Don't limit your lungs. It all starts with the way we visualize how we breathe. If you visualize your lungs only moving forward and backwards when you breathe, you're actually mentally limiting how much air you can take in. Our lungs move in a 360-degree direction, meaning that your chest expands forwards, to the sides, and to the back. Allowing yourself to realize and visualize the way that your lungs move will help you take in enough air and won't have you running out of breath by the end of a sentence. Utilizing your diaphragm is probably the most important one of these 4 points. Many of us from an early age become chest breathers. And what that means is we're focused only on using this part of our breathing apparatus. So we're going to talk about what the diaphragm is and how you can utilize it to breathe and speak in the best way you can. The diaphragm is a large dome-shaped muscle that's located at the base of your lungs. If you feel where your ribs meet, there's a little small hollow opening. That's basically where your diaphragm lives. Apart from your lungs, your diaphragm is the most efficient muscle for breathing. While your lungs are the most important in terms of taking in that oxygen, your diaphragm is what will allow you to breathe deeper, more soundly, and will allow you to speak more clearly and louder, enabling you to project to your entire audience, whether in person or over camera. When you inhale, your diaphragm essentially flattens out and drops away, allowing your lungs to fill to their fullest capacity. Then when you exhale, the diaphragm relaxes, allowing you to push that air out of your lungs and through your vocal cords. The goal here is to help you become a diaphragmatic breather. Diaphragmatic breathing is also known as belly breathing. It's the idea behind when you inhale, your stomach goes out, and when you exhale, your stomach comes in. It mimics what we just talked about in the movement of the diaphragm. The diaphragm releases out of the way of your lungs to inhale and then pushes all that air back out on the exhale. By diaphragmatic breathing, you actually can help yourself in stressful situations by lowering your cortisol levels. Cortisol levels are essentially your stress hormone. When you are nervous or anxious before a speaking engagement, those cortisol levels can rise, forcing you to hyperventilate, sweat, any type of nervous reaction. Diaphragmatic breathing allows your breath to slow, keeping you from hyperventilating, and can lower your blood pressure and heart rate, making you feel less nervous and more confident. By slowing your rate of breath, you actually expend less energy and will feel more refreshed and less exhausted before a speech or interview. There are 2 diaphragmatic breathing exercises that I want you to try. 1, just lay down on the floor, somewhere that's comfortable, not a bed so you don't fall asleep. Typically, I suggest a yoga mat or a Pilates mat on a hardwood floor or a carpeted floor, whatever you have nearby. You're just going to lay down and focus on that breath coming from your stomach until you get the hang of thinking about it from your diaphragm. And all you're going to do is take a deep breath in. When you breathe in, the stomach goes out. And when you exhale, the stomach comes in. The other one I want you to try, which is my favorite for relieving stress and tension before any kind of speaking engagement. You take a hang loose sign, you plug one nostril, breathe in, hold both, it's going to sound nasal, release the opposite one, and breathe out. Now breathe in through the open one, plug, release the other one, and exhale. And you're just going to do that as much as you need for as long as you need until your nerves subside. Next, I'd like to talk about some habits you can change to get the most out of your voice. Now, I will say, I am not a doctor. I wish I was, but I'm not. So any dietary changes you decide to make, please consult your doctor first to make sure that they are the right choices for you. Here are a few foods that could be holding you back. The 2 most important are caffeine and alcoholic drinks, both very dehydrating. Unfortunately, when it comes to the hierarchy of our muscles and organs, your vocal cords are pretty low on that list. So water, as you drink your water throughout the day, is going to go to your more important organs. Your vocal cords are going to be last on that list. You don't want to intake any food or drink that's going to strip water away from your cords before a speaking engagement. The next I suggest staying away from is red meats. Red meats take a lot of blood flow to digest. And again, you'd like to maintain that for your vocal cords so that they don't feel stripped and dried out. Citrus fruits and high sugar foods are for the same reason. High levels of sugar create a thick mucus that can coat your vocal cords and affect the way you speak. Not only does it make you sound gravelly, but it can also force you to clear your throat, that reaction. You don't want to put any more stress on your cords before a speaking engagement, so stay away from those. Last but not least, if you're going to stay away from any of these, this is the one I suggest the most, and that's dairy. Dairy does the same thing as sugar, where it creates that thicker mucus, but at an even higher rate. The concept of keeping certain foods away can seem a little bit odd, given that the food doesn't itself actually touch your vocal cords, but it can create reactions in your body, the way dairy does with mucus, that can affect your vocal cords. Not necessarily that it is hitting that vocal cord specifically. You don't have to give up any of these all the time. I certainly know I am a huge coffee lover, and the idea of having to give a speech at 8 in the morning without my caffeine seems pretty daunting. So you don't have to give up any of these forever or all the time. Just avoid them right before a speaking engagement. If you are like me and you need that cup of coffee first thing in the morning, just make sure that you front load with your water the day before so that you have enough water in you to not dry out your cords with that cup of coffee. I know we've all had sore throats in the past, whether we've talked too much or too loudly, whether we've screamed at a rock concert, whatever it is, we've all had a sore throat or lost our voice in the past. We are surrounded by so many products that are marketed to us to help us with a sore throat, get rid of your sore throat, get your voice back. Well, I'd like to bust some of those myths for you so that you can get the most out of your voice. The first one is lozenges and throat sprays. The idea behind a lozenge and a throat spray is that they're meant to soothe your vocal cords. But let's think about that. Your vocal cords are in a part of your throat that never touches food. So think about it. If you had a spray that could reach your vocal cords, you would choke. So these don't really help anything. And most of the time, they're filled with sugar, which again, like we've talked about, actually causes more harm than good. Many people believe that chewing bubble gum helps us with a sore throat because it creates more saliva, thus creating more moisture. And while that does make sense, bubble gum often has, again, high levels of sugar, something that will do more harm than good. Best to stay away from chewing gum before a speaking engagement or when you have a sore throat. I know that many people's go-to when they have a sore throat is to drink very hot tea. Warm liquids are good for you. That's without a doubt. But hot liquid, although it won't touch your cords, can actually permeate the muscles and tendons within your throat, causing your vocal cords to go into shock. Now, this is with any extreme temperature liquid, hot or cold. Best thing to do is to stay with lukewarm water. And if you are going to drink tea, I suggest herbal tea, as it doesn't have caffeine in it. And this is the worst of all, whispering. Many people think that not using your full voice when you have a sore throat can actually help, when in reality, all you're doing when you whisper is pushing more air through already dried out cords. That won't help and will actually end up hurting your cords more than helping them. So now that we've busted those myths, here are a couple of habits to include in your routine. Drinking lukewarm water. As I said in that last slide, drinking high temperature liquids, whether hot or cold, can hurt your cords by putting them into shock and not allowing them to work at their full potential. Drinking lukewarm water is your best friend. It keeps you hydrated without throwing your cords into shock. You want to start this at least 48 hours in advance, making sure you get as much water as you can. My goal every day is 100 ounces. That differs for everybody. It's a nice goal if you can make it. If not, I know many doctors will say it's drink half your body weight in ounces. Whatever works for you, you should do. But start this 48 hours before your big speaking engagement. If you can, include using a cool mist humidifier or an ultrasonic nebulizer into your routine. Using anything that creates water vapor is the best way to get water and moisture directly to your vocal cords. If you're in an office where most of your speaking engagements occur, having a humidifier can be great, and you just leave it in your office. If you're somebody that speaks more on the go, a nebulizer, whether wireless or not, is a great thing to have with you at all times so that you've got it before any speaking engagement or interview. So we talked about the breathing exercises earlier, but now we're going to talk about some vocal exercises you can do, not only every day, but they work as a great warm-up before speaking engagements. The first one I would like to talk about is lip trills and vocal sirens. If you are somebody that can roll your lips, great. If you're not, I'll show you the alternative in the vocal siren. But let's talk about the lip trills first. This is a great way not only to warm up your face and loosen up those facial muscles that you use to speak, but it's also a fun way to warm up your vocal cords and make that connection between your voice and your breath. So this is all it'll look like. You go as high or as low as is comfortable. I'm not going to turn you into a singer unless you want to be. But this is a great way just to warm up that speaking range. So you're not trying to sing, high operetta or low baritone sounds. This is just to warm up that range that you use in your normal speaking tone. So for me, that sounds like and you do that until it feels good. Not only does it shake the gunk off, but it warms up your sound. Now, if you cannot trill your lips, that's okay. You're just going to do what I call a vocal siren. Basically, you're doing the exact same vocal sounds, but you're just opening your mouth. You can do it on an ah vowel, an oo vowel, an o vowel, whatever feels comfortable for you. I'll do it on an ah vowel as an example. Ah, ah, ah. Again, you do this as many times as you need for as long as you need until you feel warmed up. Both of these are great. You can do both or either or. It's up to you. The last vocal exercise is the low larynx vocalization. Now, if you've ever heard Yogi Bear, you're going to channel that in this vocal exercise. So you're going to take the sound yug, Y-U-G, yug, yug, yug. And what you're going to do is you're going to place it in the back of your throat, kind of as if you're working through a yawn. So where it's that kind of high open sound, that's what you're aiming for. You want to place it really high up and back in your throat without forcing it or hurting yourself. And this is what this will sound like. Yug, 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 yug. You want to drop that jaw, release all the tension, relax everything. Yug, 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 yug. You can do this on one single tone, or you can go up in the scale as if you were doing the lip trills. Yug, 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 yug. Up to you. If you feel comfortable singing it, great. If not, don't worry about it. Do what's comfortable for you. This is your voice. Do what makes you comfortable. My goal as a vocal trainer is never to change your voice. Your voice is unique to you. It's something special. I don't want to change that. I want you to use that unique and special sound to the best of its and yours abilities. So here's to putting your best voice forward. Your voice is unique, and you are the expert. Let your voice help you in sharing your knowledge with the people around you and across the world. And here's to putting your best voice forward.